Now from the last function video, I've changed the code a little bit because we're going to look at returns this time. So I still have the call for the adding. This time though, I've done a console.log of the adding. And in my function, before I had a let sum equals num plus 1, and then I was just printing right out of the function. So I want to look how this looks if I put a return here instead. So you'll notice there is no sum anymore. I've just straight away said return the number 1 plus number 2. And let's see what happens. So at the very start, we have a call for adding 4, 6. So yes, we're taking in 4 and 6. We're going to return a value of 10. Perfect, that's what I wanted. You're going to notice nothing happened here. So at this point, this top line, if we just go back, adding 4, 6 right now is equal to 10. But we haven't told that computer to do anything with it. We haven't stored it anywhere. So it means nothing right now. It's just, we did this calculation. We didn't store it anywhere. So if you want to store that value somewhere or print it, you could put let some variable equal this, and that would hold that. Or you can do what I'm about to do next. So that call is over. Nothing actually changed in the program. It ran but did nothing. But here I'm saying, I want to, in the console, write whatever the value of this is. Okay, so now we're actually calling adding again. So we're going to take the number 1 is 10, number 2 is 11, and all in one line, we're just going to do this addition, and that's what we're going to return. That's what we're going to feed back into this line. So if we go next, it's going to say the return value is 21, which makes sense, meaning when this returns this back to line 3, this no longer is going to say adding 10, 11 to the computer. It is now going to turn into 21. So that's how the computer is going to take that, and it should just print out 21. So now we're back here. We're going to take our return value and log it. So we get 21. Now we have a little screen jump here. The program takes a little bit of time to actually make the visualization code to make all of this happen. So I just made a jump right here. And we're going to look at the same function. So it's an adding function. We're still going num1 plus num2. But now we're using returns in a slightly different way. So let's just go to the function first. The first part is very similar. Let sum equal num1 plus num2. It's just easier to make this in an extra step. And then we're going to say if sum is greater than 5, I want you to return true, else return false. Now I put a little red herring in here and it says return, this is not working. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So if we go back to the top of this code, it's saying if adding 4, 6, and that's it. That's all it's saying. There's no like greater than or equal to or anything like that. It's just saying that. Console.log, you win. Else, console.log, you lose. So basically this if statement, if this is true, then it runs this. Otherwise, it's just going to run this one, or if it's false. But the default on if is true. So then here, if this puts out a true or returns true, then it'll just work. And that's why I have this return true or return false. If it returns false, this if statement will not work. Okay, so let's see how that looks. So we have adding. It's going to try to run this in function. So again, it pulled the 4 number, 6 number, undefined for sum. It's going to add them. We get 10. And now it's going to do this check. So is 10 greater than 5? Well, yeah, that's true. So it's going to return true. So now it's here. It's checking. And it's going to return this. So we've returned the value true. And we're going to go back to the top of our code. And because if this is true and it was true, it's going to actually do this log. And it just skips right to the end then. Now what you should notice though, is at no point did it ever check return this is not working. Because as soon as you do one return, it just ignores the rest of the function. So even though this return is actually outside of the if statement, if you look where this bracket is, it doesn't matter. I could write anything down here. If one of these two things happens, then it's not going to work. Now, I'm going to just change this to if sum is greater than 12. And we'll just give it this, it's a little quick for this one. So same thing, but let's run it where it should go false, and let's see what happens. So same thing, it feeds in the adding 4 comma 6, so 4, 6, calculate sum to be 10, checks is 10 greater than 12. No, that's not true. So it's going to go into this else statement then, and it's going to return false. So it's going to jump back to the top, and this is false, so it's not going to do this if statement. It's going to go to the else part, and so then it's going to log you lose. Again, note that I never ever did this return, because this is after either of these returns would have happened. No matter what, because I have this as an else statement, it's always going to return one of these two.